Welcome to my video feature of the vintage game Auf Wiedersehen Pet for the ZX Spectrum, based off the popular UK television series of the same name. Now, there are a few reasons why this game should be in your collection. One of them being is just look at that cover art. Beautiful. It is quite rare to have photographs in game cover art. A lovely, dull and dreary image of a building site in Dusseldorf. There is the spine of the case and no screenshots or descriptions of any kind at the back there. Lovely. Made by Timesoft, of course, a wonderful little early 80s software house. Now, if we just open the case here, you'll see one of the reasons why this game is special, and you see there written by R. Carr, Robert Carr, or Bob Carr as he is more well known for. He is credited as Bob Carr on this game's title screen as well. Now, this could be the same Bob Carr from the folklore tales of vintage gaming history, who had written a few obscure but almost well-known games in the early 80s with Magic Carpet software, including the now infamous and controversial game Stroker, an odd little vintage adult game for the Commodore 64 where you must perform the most pleasurable orgasm. But since the 1984 release of Auf Wiedersehen Pet, I have never seen or heard of any other game written by Bob Carr. He just simply seemed to have vanished. But perhaps that is a tale for another day. Perhaps I'll do a video feature entitled The Ballad of Bobby Carr. Now back to the game in hand. Here you can see there are some brief instructions of the game in the inlay of the cassette there, but you do not have to get your magnifying glass out to read this, as there are some instructions on the title screen of this game, which is another trademark of Bobby Carr. Now let's play the game. As you can see, here is the loading screen of Auf Wiedersehen Pet. Now, I'm showing you this as this is the most impressive graphics of the actual game. This, of course, is Ozzy, the main character from the TV show and the character you play in the game. The character played by the famous actor and singer Jimmy Nail. For those unfamiliar with his work, I do recommend searching for the song Ain't No Doubt by Jimmy Nail, as you may have heard of that song before but did not realise it was actually him. As some of you aware, I do love a good loading screen on these old cassette based games, something to watch and ponder while you wait for the game to load. Now this game does take 4 minutes, thereabouts, to load. Once the game has been loaded up, you have the option of viewing that Bob Carr trademark of viewing pages of humorous instructions here. Now this game is split up into 3 mini-games. This is the instructions for the first mini-game, where you play Ozzy and you simply must build a brick wall whilst avoiding Eric and the falling trowels. Next, here are the instructions for the second mini-game. Ozzy, after a hard day of work building a brick wall, comes into a German pub or bar and you must collect pints of lager without knocking into tables or bumping into the barmaids. In the third and final mini-game, after getting slightly tipsy at the German pub, you must make your way home whilst avoiding police cars, street lamps, and the security guard. Now, before I treat you to a playthrough of this game, another reason this game is special is that despite the production value of this budget game, this game surprisingly supports the Curo Micro Speech add-on pack for the ZX Spectrum. For those who do not know, this is a device that you simply plug into the expansion port of the ZX Spectrum to allow it to synthesize speech. And it's one of the most lovely sounding robotic voices you will ever hear. Now this was quite fascinating back in the day, and people would mildly be entertained for hours to try and get their tiny microcomputer to synthesize naughty words and such. A handful of games actually supported the device as well to have speech in game, this game being one of them, and not many games can lay claim to that. Now, unfortunately, I do not have a working Curo microspeech at present, but sources tell me it would have spouted the name Timesoft presents Auf Wiedersehen Pet after loading, followed by Buy a Bob Car on the title screen, as well as some in-game prompts like You Lose and so forth. Starting the game now, you're treated to this rather simple yet charming introduction to the game, and a simple charming little tune there that I believe is based off the TV show, and at the top of the screen flashing there you can see Eric in his tiny little house looking down at Ozzy, that stick man there at the bottom of the screen, laying bricks, making sure he does his work. So here we are at the first level, another chirpy, simple little tune playing there. Now, the trick here is to build a wall straight up, like that. There you go, to get the most points. It is important to get points in this for the last mini game, as I will show you later on. Yes, when you first play this game, you think the idea of the game is to build a perfect brick wall, but it's not, because there are too many Erics here. You see those naughty Eric faces randomly placed, and there's more every time you build a wall to the top of the screen. You simply press up where there is a clear path to the top of the screen. There we are, lovely amount of points there. You are timed. The cement mixer at the bottom left there, filled with pink cement, is your time limit, but it doesn't take long to build a wall straight up to the screen. I'm not sure if this is cheating, but there's no other way to get to the top of the screen, because you can only lay bricks by going right, and you can fall off the edge of the walls here. There you go, another lovely wall straight up. You just need to find a clear path to the top of the screen and hope a trail does not land on your head. Let's go right at the very end here. Oh, almost got hit there. Lovely. Yes, it's kind of strange that you do not build a proper brick wall in line with the squares at the back, but it's simply impossible. So this is really the only way to play this minigame here. I'm doing quite well. I haven't done this well before, I believe. Look at all those mad Eric faces. Now I think there is a space I can squeeze. Yes, there. There'll be even more faces next turn. Look at that. Now there is a way up, I believe, about 3/4 of the way through. Let's try it up here. Yes. Excellent. Lots of points for me here. This is quite a good run for me. I'm not that good at this game. Now, where am I supposed to go here? Maybe I can squeeze near the middle there. Yes. Brilliant. more points for me. Now this is going to be quite tricky. I think I can squeeze in at the end there. Yes. Now in order to proceed to the next game, you do have to fail, which I'm sure I will do soon. This is getting quite impossible now. Where am I going to go? Oh, no. There you go. I tried to change direction there to avoid the Eric, but I was too high and fell off. And now we move on to the second mini game, where we are treated to this lovely cityscape of Dusseldorf there, where we enter one of its pubs or bars. Here we are. We are timed again, of course, represented by the normal timepiece of a clock there on the bottom left. Now there are a lot of pints of lager to collect here. That is because I did so well in the first round, scoring lots of points. The better you do in the first round, the harder the second round will be, but the easier the third round will be, which is important. Here we are. Oh no, I've crashed into a wall. And we are treated to another lovely cityscape there, with a road, some police cars there, before we move on to the third and final mini game. Now, the reason why you need to score as many points as possible, as you need to get home whilst avoiding the green police cars and street lamps. And the more points you have, the less street lamps and police cars there are. And also the less street lamps go out. As you see there, a number of street lamps will go out and you have to memorise where those obstacles are before making your way home. And if you don't score enough points, all the street lamps will go out, making it almost impossible to make your way home, because there will also be so many more obstacles. Now this should be quite simple for me. I think I can do this. The character continuously moves forward to make it a little bit harder to maneuver. Now I just need to get past this security guard to get home. Totally forgot about that green police car there. And it's game over. But a respectable score there. And with that comes the end of my Auf Wiedersehen Pet ZX Spectrum presentation. Now I know this game has got a bad reputation for being a very bad game, even by the early 1980s standards, but there are a few reasons which I hope I've given you to have this game in your vintage game collection. And on top of that, it is quite hard to get hold of these days, it is rare, and it could have some value in the future. Goodbye.